Hello students, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to cover the basics of writing task 1 of IELTS, and in the end of this video, I'll be giving you a sample band 9 answer as well. So what happens in like task 1, what is IELTS writing task 1? We'll start with an introduction. Whenever you're watching my videos, make sure that you are only watching it and listening to it, because whatever content is there, I'm gonna send a PDF as well in the description box, so you don't need to worry about writing anything. The only thing is, if you want to do, you can watch the video and you can make notes. So what happens in IELTS writing task 1, I'm just covering the very basics of it, and we'll make sure that the video doesn't go long, because else you might feel boring about it. So in IELTS writing task 1, we've got a line graph, right? And in this video, we're just gonna talk about the line graph. I'm not gonna cover like bar graph, pie chart, because there's a lot of information, and if you it happens that sometimes you're not able to observe all the information in single video. So what is there in a line graph? How does it look like? It looks like, there's an x-axis, you have y-axis, similar to that of the situations we used to solve complex in mathematics. Remember, in our childhood we used to have those graphs and statistics. So the graphs look pretty similar, where there are x-axis and y-axis. X-axis are always the horizontal one, y-axis the vertical one, right? And then you would see lines which are fluctuating like this. This could go straight, could go fluctuating like this. So what you need to do there is, you need to summarize the main trends, just the main trends. You need to create the summary of that. You need to compare data between categories. So there's a data, sometimes what happens is, it could be similar data for both countries, could be different. In some countries something is decreasing, while in other countries something is increasing. So these sort of trends you need to highlight, and then you need to write those fluctuations. So a lot of students might feel that in writing task 1 you have to write each and every data. It's not like that. You don't need to include all the details. It's just like the important details you need to summarize. So this is why I said that you need to summarize the main trends, and you need to compare between the different categories. We will be learning with the help of an example further. Okay, a few things I need to make a note of in writing task 1 is, you should avoid giving your personal opinions. Do not give your personal opinions or any suggestions. Write whatever you see, because this is what the examiners expect you to do. You just need to summarize what is given in the question itself. Now, apart from just like, this is what the introduction of your writing task 1 would look like. You need to understand the method of doing it as well, right? So there's a structure basically we follow. We call it a 4-paragraph structure. It is ideal to use that, because that way you'll have control over your time as well as your scores. So if you're looking forward to get a band 7, band 6 you can easily get by watching just my videos. You don't need to do anything else. For band 7, yes, you need a feedback as well. However, if you watch my videos closely, just read my sample answers, you would be able to get a band 7. So anyway, what happens is, like in 4, so you're gonna write 4 paragraphs, in which the paragraph first is a paraphrasing the question statement. I'll be doing it in a couple of seconds with you, so you'll get to know about it. Now the second thing is, which is the most important thing you have in task 1, is writing the overview of task 1. So when you're writing the overview, if it's not clear and concise, you're gonna lose marks. So make sure that you write a clear and concise overview. Even if you go to like IELTS official website, if you see their band 7, band 8 and band 9, they will always be saying that your overview must clear, like your answer must have the concise and clear overview. So if you don't write a clear and concise overview, you won't get a band 7. So make sure that you follow that. And then afterwards, we need to organize our body paragraphs. That is like, first is the paraphrase, second is the overview, third is like your main body paragraphs, and main body para 1, main body para 2. Otherwise, you can also call them main body para 3 or 4. However, it is ideal to use these words. Paraphrase the first paragraph, second paragraph is your overview, third one is your main body para 1, and then finally main body para 2. This is how I'm gonna address it. So when you are listening to my video, make sure that these things you highlight for yourself, so that you don't get confused in the end. Okay, so what have we learned till now? Just an overview again. We are learning how to write task 1, band 7. However, my response would be a band 9-1. Okay, so what sort of sentences you're gonna use when you're doing it? You're gonna write complex and compound sentences. Whenever you're writing your task 1, you need to get linking words as well, which is your connectors, or we call them a vocab range that you need to show when you're writing. When the examiner is checking, they would look at how good is your vocab range, right? Now, 4 aspects that are always be there when you're doing writing task 1 is your cohesion, which means your response should be coherent. This means your sentences should be linked with one another. Your content should be organized enough. Apart from this, your vocab range, they're gonna look how good is your vocab range. Do you know the synonyms of the words which are given by them? For example, see, you don't need to write the synonym of each and every word. However, there should be in etiquette synonyms to get a band 9 or a band 7. Now, for example, if the word you see shows is there, you need to know that it could be changed to depicts, illustrates, demonstrates. So this is how you can show your vocab range. When I was talking about previously about coherence and cohesion, this means that are you aware of how to use connectors when you're organizing your data? So let's say you want to organize your data, and when you're trying to organize your data, do you know that how you can make your response more coherent? How is it done? Obviously, like if you're organizing your data, you know that firstly this, secondly this, thirdly this, afterwards this, in contrast this, however this, finally this. So you need to know how to use these connectors accurately. It's not mandatory to use connectors after each and every sentence, but if it's required, you need to put there just to, let's say there are 2 sentences and you know that there's a contrast between them. Use a contrasting connector over there, like however, although, despite, while, and you should know how to use these connectors accurately. In my upcoming videos, I'll tell you like step by step how you need to paraphrase, how you basically need to elevate your skills to paraphrase. You need to elevate your knowledge of connectors and how to use them accurately. Now, for example, when we use although or however in sentences, generally those sentences do not contain but. If it's a compound sentence like although, but if it's a combination of complex and compound, yes, then we can use but at the end. But anyway, that will be covered in a separate way. I don't want to confuse you here. So when it comes to using although, how do we use it? It's like, although I woke up early today, I didn't get up from my bed. This means when it's winters, you don't want to get up easily from your bed. All right, so whatever we have covered till now, 2 points about task 1, which is your coherence and vocab. Now let's go to your spellings also. So your spellings and your grammar range is equally important. So when it comes to writing spellings, they should be accurate. If you are making 1 or 2 spelling mistakes, that's all right, but do not make a lot. Even with 1 or 2 spelling mistakes, you can get, for example, sometimes when students are typing, can make a typing mistake. The examiner would get to know that. How? Because they know that, the spelling maybe at other point of in a similar task 1, you've written that word in a correct way, but then if it's a typing error, can be ignored. But just 1 or 2, do not make a lot of spelling mistakes, because obviously they're going to reduce your scores. And whenever you're starting your IELTS practice, make sure that you are working on your spellings as well. Then afterwards, you're gonna improve your grammar range as well. So when it's your grammar range, I would say that you should have adequate knowledge of complex and compound sentences. Writing a complex sentence, writing compound sentences, combining them together is pretty essential. Without having the knowledge of complex and compound sentences, it is not easy to get a higher band, especially 7, 8, 9 is not possible. 6 also, you need to have that, enough knowledge to get a band 6 as well in writing tasks. All right, so what I have picked a graph, basically it is from the Cambridge books. Of course, whenever I'm making my videos, they always make sure that I use the Cambridge material only. I don't want to I want to illusion you with my videos. So I have this you can see on your screen as well. I have picked this graph, whereas it's written that the line graph, it shows thefts per 1,000 vehicles in 4 countries between 1990 and 1999. You need to summarize this information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So we were going to understand this one after the other. First of all, you can see on my screen that I've paraphrased the question statement. And how I've paraphrased it, I've written that line graph illustrates the number of car thefts per year in 4 countries. Now, when I'm paraphrasing, what I've done is instead of writing the word shows, I've written the word illustrates, and then they have written in the question statement theft per 1,000 vehicles. What I've written is illustrates the number of car thefts per year. Afterwards, I have named the countries as in Great Britain, Sweden, France, and Canada between 1990 and 1999. So I've just named the countries. This is how we paraphrase. Paraphrasing doesn't mean that you always have to complicate the words. It doesn't mean that. So next is our overview. Now, if you see, my overview is quite clear and concise, and that's what you have to learn, that how to write a clear and concise overview. I'm gonna read it for you as well. You would be able to find this in your description as well in the form of PDF. You're going to get that. So overall, Great Britain consistently recorded the highest number of vehicle thefts throughout the period, while Canada reported the lowest figures. Notably, Sweden experienced a significant upward trend, whereas theft rate in France and Canada fluctuated without a clear pattern. That's what you can see, right? So what are the two things that I can see? Great Britain consistently recorded the highest number of vehicle thefts throughout the period, while Canada reported the lowest figure. So, whenever you're starting your overall, try to write like this, something which is the highest and then something which is the lowest, and then you can combine this sentence using whereas, right? Notably, then what are the features? So it's just the important features. I'm not adding any details in this overview. If you see, I'm adding the details in my main body paragraphs. I'm not adding any details like percentage rise, like 2%, 3%, 3,000 per 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 thefts per year. I'm not writing anything. You see, there are no numbers in my overview. It's just the it's okay. So an overview is basically what you can see when you look at the graph, and like what you can get from the graph in like first 2 minutes or first 3 minutes. What can you see that there in like first 2 minutes or first 3 minutes? Whatever you see in those first 2 or 3 minutes, I don't think so that you'll be able to fetch all the details in first 2 minutes. But the first look, that's why it's called the overview. That's what you can see when you're looking at that graph for the first time. So it's Great Britain. What can I see? The Great Britain is on the upper side, right? It has like a wavy sort of figure, a wavy sort of line, and then in that line, what is happening? It has recorded the highest number of thefts, right? You can see that it started from somewhere around 10,000. It's again at ending at somewhere around 15,000. And then Canada, it has reported the lowest figures. In Canada, it started at somewhere around 5,000, but then it's ending at 6,000, and then it is ending at somewhere around 5,000. So in Canada, I mean, you can see that no doubt in between the period somewhere it was like going up and down, but at the end the number of thefts were the lowest, right? So this is what we have written. The first sentence itself and the second sentence, they are the overview, what you can see from the graph when you look at it for the first time. If your overview is clear, there's no force in the world that can stop you from getting a band 7, and that's my guarantee. So notably, what's the second sentence I've added? I've added that Sweden experienced a significant upward, as you can see, right, that this vehicle thefts in, not crime, it's vehicle thefts, and it is a form of crime, yes. So vehicle thefts in Sweden, it has been, these were the lowest, right? Not the lowest, but yeah, these were less, but then it increased. And there's a dramatic increase you can see here, right? So this is what I've written, and then the last sentence, whereas theft rates in France and Canada, they fluctuated, right? Without a clear, there is no clear pattern you have. Sometimes it's increasing, sometimes it's decreasing. That's what we have written. Now we're going to explain this in our main body paragraphs. So I've started writing my main body paragraph, and what I've written in my main body paragraphs in detail. Car thefts in Great Britain peaked in both 1991 and 1996, reaching approximately 20,000 incidents. So what happened in car thefts in Britain, they were like getting peaked in 1991 and then 1996 as well. Then, approximately there were 20,000 such incidents. And during the remaining years, the figures showed noticeable fluctuations, right? But because sometimes it's increasing. So how can we write it that sometimes it's increasing? Would you be writing like, okay, in 1990, it was 5,000, 1991, it was 7,000. If you start writing like this, imagine how long your sentences are gonna be. And that way you'll never be able to maintain that cap of 150 words. in task 1 you have a cap of 150 words. You cannot like write a lot of words. Even if the cap is of 150, max you can write is like 170. And imagine if you start writing each and every detail like this, how many grammar mistakes you would be making. So it's ideal to keep the words, keep the data concise as max as you can, and avoid those grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, or do not overwrite in simple words. So my second sentence on my main body paragraph is, during the remaining years the figures showed noticeable fluctuations, but generally they remained high. So in Great Britain the figures are obviously the highest, right? Or compared to the other countries, that is your Sweden, France and Canada. In contrast, I've used another connector. In contrast, Sweden began the decade with around 10,000 thefts and saw a steady and marked increase, climbing to nearly 15,000 by the end of the period. It seems that it is still less than Great Britain, but it's still like, it started at around 10,000, but then climbed to nearly 15,000 by the end of this period. Let me just have a look at it again. So yeah, it was approximately 10,000 when the thefts started in Sweden, but then in the end it's like increasing to 15,000 over this decade period. If you see the number of years, it's from 1990 to 1999, so it's a decade period that they have. All right, so that's what we have done in our main body para 1. Once again, in main body para 1, I have explained what I have written in my overview, that Great Britain consistently recorded the highest number of vehicle thefts, and then Sweden, it experienced an upward trend. That's what I've written in my main body para 1. Now finally, again, when I'm comparing this, what I'm doing is I'm just elaborating my overview. In simple words, I'm just elaborating my overview. And then in main body para 4, I've started with France. Meanwhile, France started with around 5,000 reported cases, while Canada had slightly higher figures. By 1993, Canada had managed to reduce vehicle thefts to their lowest over the decade. So France started with 5,000, while Canada had slightly higher, like somewhere around 6,000, as you can see from the graph. In 1993, Canada had managed to reduce their vehicle thefts to their lowest level. However, both countries, they witnessed a moderate rise. Again, you can see that in 1993 in Canada, they were the lowest, but then there's a moderate rise. It's not a very significant rise as in Sweden. You can see that there's a significant rise. But then in Canada, it's like a moderate rise which is taking place. And then finally, ultimately, that's my last sentence, ultimately by 1999, which is the last year, the number of thefts in France and Canada had declined, converging at roughly 5,000. Again, you can see this thing, you have to make sure that that you're writing it correctly when two figures are almost the same, like converging at roughly 5,000, converging. You can use these vocabulary in your graphs as well, like converging at roughly 5,000, right? So what are the words that I have used basically in terms of vocabulary? Roughly, approximately, notably, noticeable fluctuations, climbing to, started with, managed to reduce their vehicle thefts, so witnessed a moderate rise in incidents. So these sort of vocabulary you can also use in your graph. My overview is also very concise and clear, where I've written that Great Britain consistently recorded the highest number. Consistently, that word consistently is gonna give you good scores in your vocabulary. So this is what we can do in your IELTS writing task 1. In this video, I have explained how to write a band 7, 8, 9 writing task 1. What are the points you need to be taken care of? Your information should be clear and concise. You should not add all the details like that, because if you do that, imagine how many sentences you have to write and then how many mistakes you would be making if you're doing that. So you have to be very clear and concise. Okay, now I'm guiding you step by step what you need to do. Basically, always plan your task 1 as well. In all of my videos, I always make sure that you are planning the tasks. If you are writing without planning, that is the biggest mistake you're making. Never make that mistake. Always plan your writing task 1, writing task 2 as well. So when you're planning it, make sure that you have a clear and concise plan within the first 4 to 5 minutes, and that's where your time management would come. Should always be planning it in first 4 to 5 minutes and then start writing. I can give you guarantee, if you follow this planning thing, in one of my other videos, maybe in my next videos, I'll show you how we plan the writing task 1 as well. And then it's a sort of plan where you're organizing your data. And then in step 2, start writing. I can give you 100% guarantee if you plan your writing task 1, you would be able to write your writing task 1 within 10 to 11 minutes. Imagine you would be able to finish your task 1 within first 16 minutes, and then you will have like 4 minutes to proofread your writing task 1, and that's again a must have. Planning is a must-have, proofreading is a must-have. So if you proofread your task 1, you can actually elevate your scores by 0.5. So these are the steps that you have to follow when you're doing the task 1. What have we covered in this video? I can conclude it for you guys again. I hope you would understand a lot about task 1. This is quite a basic video. However, this can elevate your IELTS scores to band 7, 8, 9 if you follow all these guidelines that I've talked about. I can always, click again to watch this video, so you can have an idea over and over again to understand what is actually task 1. So task 1 is pretty simple task wherein you will be given a line graph or a bar graph or a pie chart, but in this video I've just covered the line graph. So a line graph, you need to write a paraphrase statement first of all, and then afterwards you need to write an overview, then main body para 1 and main body para 2. In overview, it's just the overview of what you can see, whereas in main body para 1 and main body para 2, you're going to add the details of what's happening, like whether it's increasing, whether it's decreasing, and to what percentage it's increasing. How many thefts are there in 1990? How many thefts were there in 1999? So this sort of particular specific information you need to add when you're writing your main body paragraphs. While in overview, it's just the overall that you can see, like by looking at the figure for the first time or second time, what can you extract from that figure? This is what you have to write in your overall. Step 1, paraphrasing. Para 1, paraphrasing. Para 2, overview. Para 3 is your main body para 1. Main body para 2 is your para 4. So this is how you need to organize your task. There is no conclusion in your task 1. There are no personal opinions. There are no suggestions. Just make sure that you are able to write all this within first 15 to 16 minutes so that you have like last 3 to 4 minutes just to check your answer. When you proofread your answer, you'll see that whatever mistakes you've made, you can correct them and you can elevate your scores by 0.5 again. So this is what all the important information I have to give it to you. Although there's a lot, I'll be covering that in my upcoming videos, such as how to paraphrase, how to write complex and compound sentences. I hope you like this video, and please leave your comments in the comment section below to know what I can make further for you. Thanks and have a great day ahead.